Stephanie for Mrs. D's Corner here. I'm coming to you live to share with you how I implement my morning adapted work binder and all of the other adapted work binders in my self-contained special needs classroom. Now, I get a lot of questions about how I implement it. What does it look like? Do you prep the whole entire download at once? And I have written a blog post about this. If you go to my blog, there's also a link above this video. If you want to read it, if you don't have time to watch this all, you can go there and see if I've answered your question. If not, let me know and I will certainly answer your question and add it to the blog post so that other people will see my answer there. So I want to get started because I don't want to keep you too long. I know that I like to talk. So the first thing that I want to share with you is kind of how I use the morning binder in my classroom, because it is the most used resource in my classroom and I made it specifically for the needs of my classroom. So how the beginning of the day works, starting from day one, is we have a very specific morning schedule that never changes. I mean, unless there's like a field trip or something. So the students come in, if they eat breakfast, one of my paras or myself will take the child to go get breakfast. But the first thing they're going to do when they come in is they're going to put their things away in their cubbies, take their jackets off, get their communication binder out, give it to me or put it on the table, and they're going to use the restroom. If they don't have to use the restroom, they're going to sit down at their desks. Now, I use traditional desks in my classroom at the front because I think it's really important that our students are still learning at traditional desks like they're going to see in the resource classroom or in the inclusion classroom. I don't just use standard desks all day, but in the morning, that's how we start out our day. We start at the morning, the front board, so I have the whiteboard and the calendars over here, and then they have a row of desks for all of my students. Or if I have a lot of students, I'm going to group their desks into groups. So they'll come sit down and they'll wait for the announcements. We'll do the announcements, stand for the pledge, do all of that fun stuff, and then we do calendar together. So for calendar, and I am working on making this a PDF for you guys to download my full calendar center from the morning. I do calendar at the front board, so I do the days of the week, the month, all of that fun stuff, the temperature, the season, you know, all that stuff that you go over anyway for calendar. For my nonverbal students or for my lower level students, and even from all of my students, if they want to participate, I have a calendar mat that directly correlates to what we're doing on the front board. And it's laminated, it's one large sheet of construction paper, and they can point to what day of the week it is, or they can circle it with an expo marker, and it erases with a magic eraser. I cut these in half and the students know how to use them. So we do that. After we do our calendar together, and everyone does calendar together, no matter what ability level the child is on, we are doing calendar together every single morning. It is how we start every single morning in the classroom, first day and last day. So we start our morning off right that way. After we finish doing the morning calendar together, I tell my students, go get your binder. So what this means to them is they know exactly what their binder means. My classroom is color-coded, so they all have their own color, right? And I have blog posts on this if you are curious about how I color code my classroom or how that works. But all of my students are given a color at the beginning of the year. And if I have too many students, I'll overlap colors. Like one year I think I had 7 students, and I had 2 students that had the same color of orange. So I would put their name on things so they would know, you know, one of the first skills that that you teach a child is how to recognize their name and how to recognize colors. So if a child is really low, you're going to start with that anyway. So they're going to be able to go to get their own folder or go find their color or go find their name, right? So I just use a regular Sterilite bin. It's from Walmart. It was like $7. And the kids just pack all their, when they're done with it, they just stick the binders in on top of each other. There is no rhyme or reason to how the binders are sorted. They're all, I don't want to say they're all the same because they're not, and I'm going to go over that. But my kids know after calendar, when I say go get your binder, they know to go grab their binder that's their color with their name on it. They bring it back, they sit at their desk again at the front of the classroom where we just did the calendar, and we all work on calendar binders together. How this works is some of my students, yes, do need more of a one-on-one when we do calendar together. I will walk around the classroom, my parent will walk around the classroom, or we'll sit in between certain students, so we'll group them together. So say student A and student B, they both need that one-on-one attention when they're doing tasks. So we'll sit in between them. That way we can help both at the same time. This also works great because there are some writing pages in the Morning Binder that I have all of my students write. So if children have difficulty with writing and that task is difficult for them, we do the hand over hand, but they're still writing every morning with everyone else. So as they're doing their binder, starting from the first day, we all do the same activities within the binder, and I make sure at the beginning of the year, before the students even come, that I've read all of their IEPs. I know what their ability levels are, so I have made specific binders for each kid before they even come on the first day. That way they know what's coming every day. Okay, so that's really, really important. And what's really great about the Morning Binder download is that I've given all that differentiation for you. You just have to print it and prep it. And I'll show you what that looks like with my sample binder here that I have. I don't have any of my student binders, and for confidentiality reasons, I would never show you one of my students' binders. So I have a sample one to show you that is identical to what one of my students' binders would look like. So I'm going to tell my students, go get your binder. So they're going to come back, they're going to sit at their desk, okay, just like any other desk that they would see in a gen ed classroom or an inclusion or in specials. It's the same exact desk. They don't get any special desks unless they need one, obviously. But I want them to practice being able to sit in a chair at a desk and learn. That is what we do every single morning. It sets the tone for the rest of the day. We are here to learn. They're going to go get their binder. They're going to come back and they're going to open it up. The first thing that's going to be in their binder, and I apologize, it's going to be backwards for you guys, is going to be the I Can Spell My Name. Now, some of these pages in the download have been updated, so the clip art might look different or the wording up top will be different, but it's still the same concept. So there's one that says I can spell my name. There's also one that says I can spell my first name, I can spell my middle name, I can spell my last name, and I can spell my full name. So this is one I had prepped before I updated it. I can spell my name. Now, you're going to have all different ability levels of students in your classroom, right? We all know that. I one year had kids in grades 1, 2, 3, and 4 in the same classroom, and it was a struggle until I kind of got my routine down and learned, you know, till I started implementing this, and that's kind of how this was born. So what I do for my kids, so if my kids, their ability level is on matching and they need to know, or they're working on matching their name, and that's where they are, I'll still print this page because it's not editable, but I take a Sharpie marker and I will write their name at the top here. Like you've seen, I've written my name, and then they can match the letters here. So they would just go through, and it's a simple matching task. They can go through and spell their first name independently on their own because they're matching letters. If you're worried about the Sharpie marker not coming off, I promise you it comes off with a magic eraser. These things are magic. You literally should buy stock in them for your classroom. Ask parents to send them in because they are a lifesaver for getting everything off of everything. I use these all the time. My kids know how to use them. They're great. So you can get Sharpie marker and Expo marker off of these laminated pages with a magic eraser. So as students, usually about halfway through the year, as students are starting to master spelling their name, or if it's sooner, whenever they start developing that task, right, they know how to do it, I'll start erasing parts of their name. Maybe I'll start at the beginning or I'll start at the end, or if they're already there, I'll erase their whole name and they have to spell it on their own, okay? Then we're gonna move into, if they can match the task and they can do it on their own and spell their name manipulative-wise, they're going to work on writing their name. Now, I told you before that not all of our students are going to be able to write, correct? So this is something that I would do hand over hand with my students who are practicing their fine motor task and need help holding the pencil or can't quite get their letters, or their letters are the size of the page. This is something that I will do hand over hand, or my para, with the child. I will not do it for the child. The child, whether it's going to be a scribble or it's going to be the letter S and they're going to spell their name, the child is going to practice writing their name on this page. Again, it comes with the first name, middle name, last name. You can see here that I can spell my last name. You would do the same thing as the first name. If you want to start with this and see if they can do it, perfect. You're going to start with that. If you want to write their name, you can certainly do it that way as well. So everyone is practicing their first name, their last name. I don't always put the middle name in there, but if you wanted to, you could certainly add that in at any point throughout the school year. I also have a page for I can spell my full name. I added this in because last school year I had some students who were like super fast and they could spell their first name, spell their last name, but if you ask them to do it together in conjunction, spell your full name, they had difficulties with it. So I added this work page in there for those students that need practice spelling their full name in one sitting and not, you know, separately. You're also going to see a phone number page. Now you can do this to where I can know mom's name or I can know dad's phone number. The clip art is a little different in the new ones. I've changed all of that out. And I think the style of this might look a little bit different, but you're just going to have these here. Now also, if you wanted to, you could, for some of them, I'll write the phone number so where they're matching, and then eventually it will go to just doing their phone number independently. But every student is doing their name, every student is doing their phone number. We're also going to know our address. I don't put in their zip code, I just put in their address. So the example I have here, so I mix them up, they're never in order. So 123 Teacher Street, Houston, Texas. And I have them write it like they're writing a letter. So their name, I don't have them do their name, but they would do 123 Teacher Street, Houston, Texas. I put these sideways like this, excuse me, because all of these pieces aren't going to fit on here. I don't want to make the text smaller because I want my students to be able to see the actual words. I don't want to make it too small for them. Yes, previous purchases, if you've already purchased this before, I updated it, I think, over the weekend. You can just go right back in and re-download it and get all the new pages. I've also organized it for you, so it's not just 2 PDFs anymore. I've actually organized it by skill. So they're also going to practice their birthday. Again, I never put this in order, and when I teach my students to put them back, which I'll talk about, I don't have them put it in order either. You're also going to move into calendar. So not only are we doing calendar as a class together at the front board and on our mats, they're also doing calendar and reiterating these skills within their binder. So I usually, and for the sake of this live, I put all of the numbers down here so you can see that it looks like a calendar. I put enough strips in their binders on the back of a page to hold all of the months. If you don't want to put all of the months for a student who, say, maybe only needs 2 choices of months and can't quite get, pick out of 12, you can certainly only put 2 months up here. However it works for you, whatever the child needs is what you're going to do for that child. I'm just showing you all what is included. I'll put all the numbers up here, and each day they're going to go through and count to the day of the month. So all the way to 31. So every day we're practicing counting. So at the beginning of the month, they're only going to have 1, and then on the second, they'll have 2, and then on the third, they'll have 3. You understand. They're going to go through and put the month. They're also going to put the year. So they're doing this in their binder. Whether it's independently, they're allowed to use the front board. Use your resources. I think that's a great skill for them to learn. Use the front board to remember and figure out what the date is. After we do that calendar in here, they are also going to do, I can spell the month. Now this month spells September. What I do for all of these, because you get all of the letters for all of the months. You're not going to reuse letters, excuse me. You aren't going to reuse letters every month. What I did is in the download, I've given you every letter that you need for the entire year. What I do to store these pieces, I did a live video, so if you go back through my videos, you can see different storage options. But I buy, and I think they're like $6 at Walmart, they're called bead organizers, or I call them bead dividers. They're in the craft section down the bead aisle usually. It was $6. I have 1 for each student. And then I will keep their extra pieces. So I'll keep May in 1 little compartment. I'll keep June in 1 little compartment, and August and September. That way, at the end of the month, when I need to switch out this month here, all I have to do is grab that, switch the letters out, and I don't have to prep anything else. Again, just like the name, if you need to write the date of the month up here, so if you need to write September, then you'll write September, and you can prompt fade and all that fun stuff. So usually at the beginning of the month, if they need help, my higher level students can use the board to practice spelling the month. My lower level students are going to need me to spell September on it for them. I don't change out this work page at all. Again, I use a Sharpie, and Sharpie wipes right off with a magic eraser. So I'm not prepping a page for every month, just the letters. They're also going to practice writing the month. Excuse me, guys. This I also have every child do again if it needs to be hand over hand. Whether they're just doing scribbles, I want them to practice the art of writing. Whether it looks like a letter or not, they're going to write. And I'm going to let them do this. They're also going to practice yesterday, today, and tomorrow writing. First, usually I have this page, so they're going to practice by moving the pieces, and I keep these pieces in order. If a student is a higher level student, you could certainly mix them up, but I like to keep them in order. And then they'll practice writing the days of the month, or the days of the week. So we're going to go through that. Oh, you can see I put it on the back here. I just have an extra page. And then we practice writing the specific day of the week. So we'll also practice writing all 3, so yesterday, today, and tomorrow, but today is Tuesday, so I would write Tuesday 3 times. Again, we're going to do it hand over hand with the kid. Now, I know some of you have really large caseloads, and you can't possibly, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry, I should have gotten a drink of water. You're not going to be able to sit and help each child. So what you need to do, my recommendation for you, for those of you who have really large caseloads, is either have your higher level students help your lower level students, or teach your students to move on, and then when you get to them, you will go back and finish those pages. Okay, those are my recommendations for you. So we do writing the days of the week. You can also, there's a tracing days here, so if you wanted them to trace, there's also tracing days for the month and the days of the week. There's also this page. Then you're going to move into the weather. This here, you're going to manipulate these pieces to tell you what the weather is, which is going to match what's on the front board, so that's easy for them to follow. This here, I don't do this part with all of my students, but I use it as a graph every month to keep track of how many days here do we have a sunny day, how many days were cloudy, and then we'll count with my higher level students and kind of make that graph. This then moves into the season. We'll talk about the seasons. Now, I don't keep all of these pieces on this at once. I will keep 2 months. So I would probably keep, for right now, summer and probably autumn, fall on there. And the kids will have to determine between the one or the other. And then I will keep 4 different clothing options down here for them to choose from. The extra pieces I will keep in that bead organizer so that they're with everything, and when I switch out seasons or switch out months, I'll go ahead and switch out these. I'll also switch out some of the clothing because kids, you know, see these pictures a lot and they start to learn this is what you wear, right? So I'll switch out just to kind of keep them on their toes. And we'll also talk about the temperature, because that is something we do on the front board as well. Is I'll write the temperature that day, and then my higher level students will go through and make the temperature gauge for that. So this is just one binder, and within the Morning Binder download, you're going to get a lot more than what you see here. This is the only binder in my classroom. You can do this any way that you want to. I'm just sharing with you how I do it. You can, I use one binder like this, identical, but it's dependent upon the student's ability levels with each student. So if I have 12 students in my classroom, I have 12 morning binders that look like this. If I have 24, I would certainly have 24 of this available, right? One for each of my students. If I wanted to print something else, or say I wanted to print an IEP binder, or like to work on skills, right, but use these work pages, or I wanted to print a math binder, I don't print the math binder for every student. What you can do is whatever the goals are in the student's IEP, you could print those skills from within the download that you purchased and put them in a binder for the child to work on. How I do it is I printed the entire math binder at once, which I don't necessarily recommend. I'm glad that I did it now, but it took me 2 full days, like over the summer or over winter break, I think. My mom helped me do it. It took us 2 full 8-hour days to prep the entire math binder, like 8-hour days to prep over 800 pages. It was crazy. But now I am so glad that I did it, because now when I want a child to work on a math binder or math topic, I have them separated into skills. So there are 8 different topic skills within the math binder. And I'm just sharing this as an example. You could do this with the ELA binders, the science and social studies binders, whatever you want. If I have a student who's working on money, I will go grab the money binder. I will have every single skill. I will have that full money binder within this binder. And then I can just go, and you can see I have extra answer pieces up here, but I'll just go and grab the pages that I want them to work on. I left this in here. This is dry erase marker. I wanted to show you guys that the dry erase marker comes right off with a magic eraser. It's like magic. Seriously, I love those things. I'll go grab the skills, and then they'll sit next to me, or they'll be at a center with a para, or if they have the ability level to do work independently and they'll sit and do independent work, I'll take a couple pages out, stick it in a smaller binder, and have them work on it there. You can certainly make your students have independent binders and do their IEP skills. I think that's a fantastic idea. I've just found it easier for me to have one master set for me, for my kids that I can pull from. That way my paras know this is what Johnny's working on. Johnny needs to work on matching coins, or we're identifying coins, or telling me how much a coin is worth. He can go pull a math binder and he can look at the skills and pull those pages out for a student. Whatever works for you is how you're going to do it in your classroom. You can also, if you wanted to, I pulled this PreK Binder, which is, it's a separate download. The PreK Binder and the Morning Binder do overlap skills, but they are completely separate work pages. So there's nothing similar about the work pages. You might see the skill be the same, but they're two completely different binders. This binder here, the PreK Binder, is aligned to PreK standards. The math binder is aligned to standards, but it's not PreK specific. It's great for students who are in PreK, but it has a wider range of ability level for skills. The PreK Binder is just PreK level skills. I just wanted to go over that because I get a lot of questions about what the difference is. This is a binder that I would prep, and this would be like a student binder for PreK, and it would be like an IEP binder. So the kids working on identifying types of the weather, and I would put the different types of weather in here, kind of giving you a glance at the side of this. So you can see there's matching different things, and this would be the child, so if there's like extra time, or, and I love adapted binders for this reason as well. If there's like extra time, you have like 10 extra minutes, the end of a lesson, you can be like, go grab your adapted binder, let's do some work. You don't have to scramble together to get something, or just sit there for 10 minutes, or give the kids an iPad, right? You can say, go get your binder, we're gonna practice some work in here, and you already have it done. It's already prepped, it's on the kids' ability level, and it is ready to go. Okay, so that is something that I love, love, love about adapted work binders, because it's literally, there's so much that you can do with them, and you really do tailor them to fit the individual needs of each student. So if you have any other questions about adapted work binders, about anything, what that looks like in my classroom, or if you want to see something, please send me a message or write a comment here. I'm not going to go through and answer the comments on the video right now. I'll go back through after the video and answer and type in my responses to your questions. So if you would like to know anything else, please leave a comment or send me a message, and I would be happy, happy, happy to share with you. I will also share the links to my binders in the comment section of this, or you can just go to Mrs. D's Corner on TPT and find my adapted work binders there. So I will see you guys soon. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Again, if you have any other questions, please let me know. I really want to help you make the most out of adapted work binders for your classroom and for your kids at home too. So I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.